Hi, I'm Aria. When most kids my age were planning their sweet 16 parties, I was figuring out how to navigate my third foster home in 2 years. Not because my parents died or couldn't afford to raise me, but because they chose not to. Morning, sunshine. Sleep okay? Miss Rena, my current foster mom, placed a steaming mug of hot chocolate on the table as I shuffled into the kitchen. As good as anyone can in a twin bed with springs that sound like they're planning a jailbreak, I replied, trying to smile despite the heaviness in my chest. Sorry about that. I've been meaning to replace that mattress. Maybe this weekend? She tucked a strand of her silver-streaked hair behind her ear. It's fine. I've slept on worse. I sipped the chocolate, the warmth spreading through my fingers. Got any plans for today? Miss Rena asked, sliding a plate of toast across the table. Just school. Then I promised Kim I'd help her with the science project. Miss Rena hesitated, her usually relaxed face tightening slightly. Actually, your social worker called this morning. Marta wants to see you after school. I froze mid-bite. Did she say why? No details, but she mentioned something about contact from your parents. The toast turned to sandpaper in my mouth. What could they possibly want after 2 years of radio silence? I don't know, honey. But whatever it is, you're not facing it alone. Later that afternoon, I sat across from Marta in her cluttered office, picking at a loose thread on my jeans while she shuffled through papers. So they just called you up? After all this time? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Marta nodded, her dark curls bouncing slightly. Your mother contacted the agency yesterday. They're back in the country and want to arrange a meeting. Back from where exactly? The moon? Mars? Some parallel universe where abandoning your kid to foster care while traveling the world with your favorite child is normal parenting? Aria. 2 years, Marta. 2 years, 3 foster homes, and not one call. Not one lousy postcard. Marta leaned forward, her eyes softening. I know, and you have every right to be angry. I'm not angry, I lied. I'm whatever comes after angry. Nuclear. They mentioned something about Jason having a special opportunity. Oh, spare me! I threw my hands up. Jason always has special opportunities. Math prodigy Jason. Golden boy Jason. The son worth keeping Jason. You don't have to see them, Marta said carefully. My phone buzzed. A text from Kim. Did you see Instagram? Your brother's competing in International Math Olympics? With your parents cheering in the audience? I showed Marta the screen, my hand trembling slightly. This special opportunity has been going on for 2 years while I've been bouncing between strangers' homes. Aria, No. I stood up abruptly. You know what? I do want to see them. But not for some happy reunion. I want answers. And more than that, I want them to face what they did. What are you thinking? Marta asked, concern etching her features. I'm thinking it's time someone held them accountable. And if they won't do it themselves, maybe the family court judge will help them along. That's a big step, Marta warned. Are you sure you're ready for what that might entail? My phone buzzed again with another Instagram notification. A family photo. My parents flanking Jason, all smiles at the Eiffel Tower. The caption read, Another country conquered. #family adventures #prodigy tour. I've never been more ready for anything in my life, I said, my decision crystallizing. It's time they learned they can't just throw away one child while celebrating the other. As I left Marta's office, my foster sister Danny was waiting outside, her bright blue hair impossible to miss. That bad, huh? She asked, noting my expression. Worse, they're back, and they think they can just waltz back into my life like nothing happened. Danny's eyes widened. No way. After dumping you to be Jason's cheerleading squad? Apparently, 2 years of globe-trotting with their precious math genius was enough, I said, my voice breaking despite my best efforts. And now they want to see me. What are you going to do? Danny asked, falling into step beside me. I gripped my phone tightly, the family photo still glowing on the screen. I'm going to make sure they never forget what they did. Not through screaming or crying, but by making them face it. Legally, properly, completely. You're sure about this? Kim pushed her glasses up her nose, frowning at the stack of papers I'd collected. Dead sure. I spread the documents across her bedroom floor. Email printouts, social media screenshots, school withdrawal forms. This is extensive, Kim murmured, picking up a printed Instagram post showing my parents and Jason at the Great Wall of China. They really documented everything, huh? They weren't exactly hiding it. That's the worst part. They were proud, living their best life while I was getting shuttled between foster homes, Kim finished, her voice soft. It's messed up, Arya. Danny flopped onto Kim's bed, scrolling through her phone. Got another one. They're at some fancy restaurant in Manhattan celebrating Jason's acceptance to MIT. Early admission for their 16-year-old prodigy. Keep it, I said, swallowing the bitter taste in my mouth. Add it to the pile. Your caseworker is on board with this? Kim asked, carefully organizing the papers by date. Marta? Not exactly. She thinks I should process my feelings before taking legal action. And what about Miss Rena? Danny asked. She gets it. Actually, I checked the time. She should be here soon. She's bringing someone who might help. The doorbell rang and Kim's mom called up the stairs. Moments later, Miss Rena appeared with a sharp-eyed woman in a charcoal suit. Arya, this is Monica Winters. She's a family law attorney who specializes in cases like yours. Monica extended her hand. Call me Monica. Rena's told me about your situation. Can you help me? I asked, gesturing to our evidence pile. Monica sat cross-legged on the floor, somehow maintaining her professional demeanor. Depends what you want. Revenge? Closure? Financial support? Accountability, I said firmly. I want them to face what they did, legally. And what exactly did they do, in your words? Monica asked, pulling out a notepad. They abandoned me to chase my brother's math competitions around the world. Left me in the system while they lived it up as a family of 3 instead of 4. Did they terminate their parental rights? No, Miss Rena interjected. They maintained legal guardianship, but designated temporary custodial care to the state. It was supposed to be for 6 months. Which turned into 2 years, I added. Monica's pen scratched across her notepad. And no contact during this time? Nothing direct. Just what I could see on social media. A knock at the bedroom door interrupted us. Kim's brother Marcus poked his head in. Sorry to interrupt the War Council, but there's someone here for Arya. My stomach dropped. Who? Marcus grimaced. Says he's your brother. The room went silent as I stood up. Jason's here? Now? I found him in the living room, looking exactly like his Instagram photos. Taller, hair longer, but unmistakably my brother. 2 years had transformed the 14-year-old boy into a lanky 16-year-old stranger. Arya! He stepped forward, stopping when I crossed my arms. You look different. That's what happens in 2 years, Jason. People change. I know you're angry. You don't know anything about me anymore. He ran a hand through his hair. Mom's nervous gesture. They sent me to smooth things over before they meet with you. Of course they did. They're messenger boy. It wasn't like that, Ari. Don't call me that. You lost Ari calling privileges when you watched them drop me off and didn't say a word. Jason's face flushed. I was 14. What was I supposed to do? I don't know. Maybe say, hey, let's not abandon my sister. They said it was temporary, just until the European competitions finished. Then things kept happening. The Asia tour, the South American exhibition. My career just... Your career? You're 16. You know what I mean. The opportunities were more important than me. Got it. Message received 2 years ago, but thanks for the refresher. Monica appeared beside me, her presence steady. You must be Jason. I'm Monica Winters, Arya's attorney. Jason's eyes widened. Attorney? Arya, what are you doing? What you and our parents should have expected, I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. Actions have consequences, Jason, even for math prodigies. The family court building loomed gray and imposing as I climbed the steps with Monica and Miss Rena. My parents waited near the entrance, looking exactly like their social media photos, tanned, well-dressed, and completely foreign to me. Arya, Mom stepped forward. I stepped back. Let's save the reunion act for inside, Monica suggested coolly. Dad cleared his throat. We didn't expect this to be so formal. You forfeited private family talks when you left me with strangers for 2 years, I replied. That's not fair, Mom protested. We made arrangements. You were cared for. By the state, not by you. Jason hovered behind them. Can we not do this here? Where would you prefer, Jason? Another country? Inside the conference room, Judge Watson reviewed the documents Monica had prepared. Mrs. and Mr. Winters, you've been served with papers alleging parental neglect and abandonment. How do you respond? Mom leaned forward. Your Honor, this is a misunderstanding. We never abandoned Arya. We made proper arrangements. For 6 months, Monica interrupted, which turned into 26 months without modification, without direct contact, and without financial support beyond the initial deposit. We were advancing Jason's educational opportunities, Dad argued. Once-in-a-lifetime chances that required international travel. So you disrupted her entire life instead? Miss Rena asked. We're her parents, Mom said, her voice rising. We made a difficult decision for our family. Half your family, I corrected. The half you wanted to keep. That's not true, Mom exclaimed. We always planned to come back for you. After what? Another competition? Another country? Another year? Arya, please, Dad pleaded. We made mistakes. We're sorry. Sorry doesn't erase 2 years of wondering why I wasn't worth taking along. Jason slammed his hand on the table. It wasn't about worth. It was practical. So I was inconvenient. No, Jason shouted. But my future was more important than mine. Got it. Mom reached across the table. Arya, please. We love you. Let us make this right. How exactly? You can't give me back those 2 years. We can be a family again, Dad offered. You can come home. We're staying put now. So now that the world tour is over, you have room for me again? How generous. Judge Watson cleared her throat. What remedy are you seeking? Monica glanced at me, and I nodded. Your Honor, Arya is seeking emancipation, with financial support for college equivalent to what they've invested in Jason's education. Mom gasped. Emancipation? But we want her home. You forfeited that right, I said quietly. This is ridiculous. Dad stood up, his face reddening. We're her parents. We decide what's best. Sit down, Mr. Winters, Judge Watson warned. No, I won't let some teenager tell me how to run my family. Dad, Jason started. Stay out of this, Jason, Dad shouted, pointing at me. This is just attention-seeking behavior. Miss Rena stood up. That's enough. Who are you to tell me what's enough with my daughter? Dad stepped toward her. Control yourself or I'll have you removed, Judge Watson said sharply. This is outrageous. We came here to reconcile, not to be accused. Dad lunged forward, not toward me, but toward Monica, knocking papers flying. The court officer grabbed him immediately. That's it. You're done. Get your hands off me. Dad struggled against the officer's grip. Add threatening behavior and contempt of court to the record, Judge Watson said calmly. As they escorted my father out, my mother sat frozen, Jason pale beside her. Given what I've just witnessed, Judge Watson continued, I'm inclined to grant the petition for emancipation. We'll reconvene tomorrow for my final ruling. Emancipated minor. I rolled the words around my mouth as Miss Rena drove us home from the final hearing. Sounds so official. It is official, Monica said. And so is the education trust they've been ordered to establish. Every dollar they spent on Jason's competitions and tutors matched for your college fund, Danny marveled. Equality, I murmured. That's all I wanted. My phone buzzed with a text from Jason. Can we talk? Just us? I showed it to Danny, who raised an eyebrow. You going to answer? Eventually, but not today. Later that evening, as we celebrated with pizza, the doorbell rang. Kim returned from answering it with a grim expression. It's your mom. My mother waited in the entryway, clutching her purse like a shield. Arya, please. 5 minutes. We stepped onto the front porch, the evening cool around us. We never meant for any of this to happen, she began. But it did happen. For 2 years. We got caught up. Jason's opportunities kept coming and the time just slipped away. She reached for my hand. We made terrible mistakes. But we're still your parents. Biologically, yes. In every way that matters, no. How can you say that? We raised you for 14 years. And then you stopped. That's the part you're not getting, Mom. You stopped being my parents the day you decided I wasn't worth taking along. We want to make amends. Start over. I shook my head. There's no starting over. There's only moving forward. Without us? Her voice cracked. That was your choice 2 years ago. I'm just making it official. What can we do to fix this? Nothing. Some things can't be fixed. They can only be accepted. After she left, I rejoined the celebration inside, where Miss Rena was distributing ice cream. Everything okay? She asked quietly. Getting there, I replied. For the first time in 2 years, I feel like I'm standing on solid ground. Kim raised her ice cream bowl. To Arya, who taught us all that family is about actions, not biology. And to new beginnings, Danny added. To accountability, Monica said with a satisfied smile. Miss Rena squeezed my shoulder. To finding home wherever you make it. I looked around at these people who had become my real family, not through blood, but through presence, support, and unwavering loyalty. Later that night, as I sorted through college brochures, Danny leaned against my doorframe. So what happens now? With your parents, I mean. I considered the question carefully. They'll go back to their lives. I'll build mine. Maybe someday our paths will cross again in a healthy way. And forgiveness? That's not on the table right now. Maybe never. And that's okay. Sometimes the healthiest thing isn't forgiveness. It's boundaries. I picked up a brochure for a college across the country, far from my biological family, but close to who I wanted to become. The thing about being left behind, I said, is that eventually you learn to move forward on your own terms. And sometimes, that's the greatest revenge of all.